Hello and welcome to this episode of High Achievers, and I'm so glad that you could find time to join me. I'm your host, Musonda Bwalia, and today I have the rare privilege of speaking to Ambassador Karolina Stasiak, and she is the first female EU ambassador to Zambia as well as COMESA after 50 years. Definitely a milestone, and so she'll be sharing with us her story. She has great experience in diplomatic service as well as linguistics. Ambassador, thank you so much for your time.
Hi Musonda, how are you?
I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So today, obviously, we're not interviewing you about any of these high level topics. We just want it to be as relaxed as it can be. Want to know more about you, especially that you are Zambia's first female EU ambassador to Zambia as well as COMESA. We'll start from the beginning. Your childhood, how was it like? Where were you born, and what sort of a family do you come from?
So I am Polish. I was born in Poland, which is a country in Central Eastern Europe. I come from a small town called Zamość. Not many people know it. It's a beautiful small town, 70,000 people, and yeah, this is my hometown. And I have one older brother, and I grew up there with my parents and my brother until I left for university.
And what was it like growing up in a small town?
Yeah, so I have just one brother, older brother, 4 years older, and then Poland, when I was born and until the age of 10, actually was behind what we call the Iron Curtain. So so it was a block of countries which were under the Soviet rule. So we were not able to, travel around, or we didn't have many choices. So it was a rather modest, let's say, childhood that I had in this, political environment that was of that time. But so my parents still live in my hometown, and my brother has moved to Warsaw, where I then studied when I started my studies in Warsaw. So this, going, so I went to school, primary school and secondary school in my hometown, but there was no university. So I knew that I had to leave the hometown to go to university. And this is when I went to Warsaw, the capital city of Poland, to study, a bit like my brother. So I looked up to my older brother and followed him in a different field. But yes, this was a bit our natural way, because in this town of ours there was no university, so it was known from the very start that we had to leave for university elsewhere.
Growing up, especially from a small town, did you know what you wanted to be in the future?
No, I don't think at that time. So I think I took different stages, as they came. So this stage of going to university to a big town was a great opportunity, because obviously you move out and you have more opportunities there in terms of culture, in terms of meeting interesting people, in terms of studying opportunities as well. Moving to this bigger city was already a step forward in a way to what I'm today, but I didn't really know at the time. So when I started my studies, I was quite good in languages in secondary school, and I didn't know what I wanted to become, but I thought, okay, let's use these languages somehow. So I studied translation and interpreting, actually. So I thought I would be a translator or an interpreter during my holidays. Sometimes I worked, I had like small summer jobs in interpreting or in translating. So this is the studies that I took in the first place. And then I moved on to study European politics, because my country was about to, I told you about this country being behind the Iron Curtain, and that we have undergone this transformation, that the country was open to, after 89, it was open to other influences, and so it underwent a lot of transformation. And then it gave me also this outlook when Poland was joining the European Union. So I got really interested into European politics, into how this accession to the European Union of my country would transform it, in terms of development, how it would accelerate things for people in Poland. So I then, from the studying languages, I then took up another degree to study European politics and economics, and then that was still in Poland. And then I had opportunity to be sent on a scholarship to France, and then continued in Belgium for 1 year in a school which prepares for European Union institutions, to work for the European Union institutions. So that, let's say, primary school didn't really prepare me for where I am today, but I think it kind of shaped my way in a certain way towards my career and to the role that I have today.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that you're good in languages. What languages do you speak?
Oh, quite a number actually. Mm-hmm. Because once you speak one, it opens you. There are some, similarities between languages. So I speak Polish is my mother tongue, obviously. Mm-hmm. English, French, German. I studied at university. Spanish I'm learning still. Portuguese a little bit, and Russian from the time of my childhood. But it's not such a liked language, so I don't speak it that much. But I can understand quite a few things.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
After you were done with college, university actually, what was next for you? Did you know exactly what you wanted to do?
Yes, so after university, so my last bit of university was this college, which is called College of Europe in Belgium, that prepares people for careers in the European institutions. And from that, it was a small town in Belgium. Then I moved to Brussels to start my first job, which was in the private sector, a consultancy on European legislation, advising basically different kinds of clients, private sector or NGOs, how to understand the legislation of the European Union, how to influence it, how does this influence, the business or NGOs, what they need to know, and to basically translate the European legislation and the reality of the European Union into a language of business or into a language of NGOs. So that was my first traineeship, and because at the time I had to sustain myself in Brussels, which was also away from my home country, so I had to start working, and it was a paid internship, so I started like that, and then they offered me a full-time, let's say, job there. So I stayed there for about 2 years, but then I thought, it's not exactly something that I want to do for life. And I was already during my studies quite interested in relations with Africa, in development studies. And I decided, okay, let's take a step back, and then let's go back to a traineeship again. And then I entered into the European institutions, into the development department, which worked with African countries. So this is how my story with Africa started 20 years ago.
Do you remember around what age you were?
I think I was 20, something like 25 maybe. Yeah. So after this first work experience in the private sector, that was 25 when I got back, let's say, when I was starting in the European institutions.
Diplomatic jobs are usually predominantly male dominated. Tell us about your experience, especially when you were starting as a female.
True. It's a male-dominated world. In my first jobs, I think one maybe challenge or one difficult moment when I was returning from maternity leave, and then when you are put a little bit, you can't work long hours, etc. So that was a bit one of the challenges that I experienced. But otherwise, I think. Maybe at the beginning of the career as well, as a woman, you're more likely to be a bit self-critical and not believing in yourself as a young woman. Oh, can I achieve this? Am I good for this career? Or maybe I should do something else. So I think there were sometimes these kind of self-limiting thoughts that I had. And this return from maternity leave, it was something also that I didn't enjoy that much because of, I was out of the job for a few months, and then returning while you have had a baby, it changes a bit your also maybe priorities and the way how you look at work. But quickly I have proven myself, and I have proven others, that even having a baby and even having to juggle a bit with the time, with your work time schedule and balance, it is still possible to succeed, to be successful, to deliver even very much better than men in your career. So then I reintegrated the service, and then things went well, and I had another child later, so that didn't stop me. But I think it is a bit challenging sometimes for women to come back after maternity leave. So that was a bit like young years, and these self-limiting, as I said, self-limiting thoughts sometimes that I said, oh, can I be a diplomat?
And interesting that you mentioned self-limiting thoughts. How did you overcome them?
I think you should look for support, look also for people who have been there before you, for women who actually have careers and have children, and don't hesitate to chat with people. How do you manage? How do you organize yourself? Look for support as well, your partner, your family members, a friend that can sometimes help out as well. So I think always believe in yourself. Try to love what you do and be the best in it, to the limits that you have at a given moment. For example, I was mentioning the maternity, but in general, self-limiting thoughts, I think it's the best, the worst enemy of ourselves are sometimes, ourselves, who think that you cannot achieve some things. But I think believing in yourself, looking for support, and don't get discouraged if something doesn't go well for the first time. You have to, it also, setbacks also build resilience. So you grow stronger, you grow higher after a setback sometimes. So this is what I would say.
Nice. Walk us through your career progression. What was it like?
So where did we stop? I think the maternity leave. So my early days in the European institutions, where I had my first child, and then so after coming back from maternity, I decided, okay, Brussels is nice, Europe is nice, but I'm working on Africa, so I want to go to Africa. Yes, I forgot to mention that before starting like a proper job in Brussels, and before having my first child, I was posted as a junior expert. It was called a junior expert in the EU delegation to Gabon. So that was my first African experience for 2 years.
Okay, how was your first African experience, especially Gabon?
Yes, it was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
a very interesting country, very authentic. It was 20 years ago, so beautiful nature, very small population, but very few tourists at that time. So I felt really privileged to be in a country where normally I wouldn't probably go as a tourist. It was my first diplomatic experience in this equatorial environment. Very
you didn't want to run back home?
No.
Yeah?
I think also, coming from a small town, I wanted to go the furthest away, maybe from the small town, and I thought it was a super interesting experience. Also professionally, I asked to not to be only junior person to help out in the delegation, but to have real responsibility. I was the political officer, so I had to draft political reports. I went to meetings with my ambassador. To understand how the country functions. So there's also a regional organization there to which we were accredited. So there was also the regional peace and security dimension there. So I thought it was very interesting, and also personally a very good, an amazing experience. Yes.
So after the 2 years in Gabon, what was next?
So then I went back to Brussels and then worked always on Africa in the headquarters of the European Union. And then I wanted to go back to Africa, so that was a few years after. So I went to Senegal, where I was the deputy head of mission of our EU delegation there for 4 years. Had my second child there, this experience was great, and this prepared me a little bit for this role that I have in Zambia, because I had to step in for several months for in the absence of the ambassador, so it exposed me to a senior role, and I had to take do official speeches, presentations, lead a team which was quite large in Senegal, but also lead the European Union coordination. We have this role of coordinating with our member states. There are always a number of member states represented in each country. And there I had 13 member states, so there was also this work of coordination, of building common positions and analysis with the member states. So that was a very formative experience in Senegal. Really, that made me think, okay, I'm actually, at first I was a bit scared to step in these shoes.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. Like, were you comfortable stepping into these shoes? Didn't you feel at that time that you would probably not be able to contain the role, especially with this self-limiting beliefs sometimes?
But I think, yes, absolutely. It was quite challenging at the beginning, because the shoes were big to fill, It was a male ambassador and quite senior one. But I think what I'm also very grateful to him, he put me kind of in the spot, and he encouraged me, you can do it. I can't do it because I have some health issues. You are now the one, and please feel like the one in charge. It was a bit difficult at the beginning, and I was thinking, why did it fall on me, this responsibility? But then slowly but surely I started really to enjoy the work. I was also one of the youngest people in this in the delegation, so many of the colleagues were more senior, more experienced, and that I had to step in to lead this team. But I think also, and this taught me also what I'm trying to apply today. Really listen to your team, listen to each team member, sit down with them, go through the files to try to understand, what they are doing, how they can help you. And before each meeting, it was let's say during the meeting it was me speaking, but I was being prepared by colleagues whose files these were, different sectors of activity of the European Union at that time. and we prepared for each meeting with the team member. I asked questions, they briefed me, etc. So I thought I was well supported by the team, and this is what I also apply here, because as an ambassador you can't be an expert in all fields. European Union is engaged in so many different sectors. I cannot be a specialist in transport and governance and all the different areas of work that we do. So we have a team to be able to be supported and to be able to prepare the files with you. So that was, let's say, encouraging me that with the supportive team I can deliver for all of us. And it was that everybody has a specific role. I had that role to represent, and they had that role of supporting me and preparing the files so that we all can succeed as a delegation, and so that the absence of the ambassador didn't have a negative impact on the image of the European Union. So and there I was very proud of being in the lead. People told me, oh, you have talent, etc. I was like, okay, maybe this is something that I would like to orient my career towards.
Okay, so at that moment it was not just the fact that you're a woman, you're also a young woman, and then you found certain senior people there. How did they receive that? Did you sometimes get any resistance? Was everybody helpful?
Yes, most of the colleagues were helpful. I was also quite humble, and I think they saw good intention in me, and that I was trying to learn and understand and value and be grateful to all the colleagues that have provided me with support and have and maybe the way I was not bossy, but rather at the service of the colleagues and really curious about the files, etc. I think it helped. The attitude. I think my attitude helped people to feel at ease and to share willingly and to support me, because it was a common endeavor, it was a common objective to have the delegation run properly. And I knew Africa before. In the headquarters I was working also on African files, so it's not like I was new to the profession in a way. I was not I had never been before the ambassador and in that role of representation, but most of the I can't really recall a situation where colleagues would not be supportive or helpful. I think also my humble attitude made it work.
After doing 2 years in Senegal, what was next?
So after Senegal, I returned to Brussels. So I like to alternate, one post in Africa and then back to the headquarters. Also from the professional point of view, it's good not to go away for too long, because then people may tend to forget you, people move on as well. So I always like to alternate. So after that, I went to back to Brussels, and it was a post like kind of pre-management post, which was the head of division for West Africa, a deputy head of division for West Africa. So I had a boss, and then I was the kind of number two, supporting him in leading the team and in working on the 14 African West African countries and ECOWAS, the regional organization as well. And that was good because it was also, small steps towards a management position. And then from there, there was an opportunity. I thought, okay, I'm ready now to be a middle manager with all these experiences from Senegal and Brussels. And then I decided to apply for a job which was heading a division in human resources and administration, basically supporting our embassies across the world whenever there was a problem with human resources, where you had to step in because someone was on a long-term leave and or absence. medical absence, and we had to deploy people to support temporarily. So I was in touch with embassies across the world and trying to help them with human resources and administrative issues as well. A very useful job for what I do now, because administration, managing people, human resources, adapting to changing environments, people going on, I don't know, sick leaves, etc. It is very important to have that skill, to know which door to knock on in back in headquarters, look for support, how to reorganize the team, how to redistribute the workload in case of problems. So that was a very useful job. And from there I thought, okay, now I have all the different elements, the political element, the development aid element, and also the management and human resources and administration element that I can. This qualifies me for a job of ambassador, and then I applied for this role. Yes.
I'll take you back though. I like the fact that you mentioned that it's important to note that even the European Union is still trying to work on obviously embracing more female oriented leadership. Back then, as a female, or when you look back in your life, are there certain times that you felt that there's certain opportunities you couldn't get, or certain opportunities that you didn't face generally so well because you're female?
I think as a young woman, going out of university and starting your career, I was mentioning this kind of self-limiting thoughts. That's one. But also when you don't have support, or when you don't dare to speak to people who have been in the roles that you are, aspiring to. This can be sometimes, difficult and challenging if you don't have that support. If you don't dare to look out for support, if you don't dare to speak to people, okay, this is what I am, or this is where I am today, and maybe next I would like to do this. This I learned with time, to be a little bit more, forthcoming, to actually go towards people and say, oh, you have done this, can you tell me how? Can you tell me, what were the challenges that you encountered? So I think this support and having people who have been there before is very important. This is also why it's important that we actually appoint women in those leadership positions, so that others, the base, let's say, that we're trying to create is also looking up and to those women who have achieved, who are in leadership positions, and who can help and support those young women.
Did you have a mentor?
Yes, actually, yes. In our institution, we have this mentoring program. So for women, so I was put in a pair, let's say, with a woman who was an ambassador, and I was at that time in Brussels, a deputy head of division, and I was put paired or matched with a lady that I admired a lot, who had also 2 children and a husband that had to adjust to find employment or to work remotely, but also who was very inspiring in her way of presenting, etc. So I benefited from that mentoring relationship, and it was great because I think it's also a two-way street. It was me, I was benefiting from her experience, from advice, etc. She was in Latin America, and me, I was in Brussels, so I was closer to the headquarters and the decision making in a way. So I was also useful for her. We have exchanged on the phone several times, and I think it was a mutually beneficial relationship in a way. We're still in contact, and we still kind of in a way work together. And I try to do now to give back, by mentoring younger women, people who have entered recently our institutions, or even here sometimes people come to me for advice, or how did you achieve this and that, what advice would you give? And I'm always very generous in sharing, because this is also how you build this base of leaders. You can't hope that you can have women in leadership when there's no base of women who grow gradually towards these leadership positions. Yeah. Another thing very important and which helped me a lot was coaching. So coaching is something different than mentoring. Mentoring is looking up to people in your own sector, in your own institution, in your own company. Coaching is more like a professional service, a coach that has the right questions, that guides you a little bit, that helps you, with presentation skills, with daring to apply, with getting maybe a structure to the interview. So I have also benefited a bit from coaching that was provided by our institutions to help I think dare to apply for the job of ambassador or for job of head of division. So for these leadership roles where I thought, am I good enough? And they say, yes, you're good enough, and go for it.
With these roles that you get back and forth, one minute you're in Senegal, the other time you're in Congo, next you're back in Europe. How do you balance that with your with family time, and especially that you also have 2 children?
Yes, I think because me and my husband are quite excited to travel, to experience life in different countries. The children also feel that, and they are part of. It's like a family project in a way, that we move from one place to another. Gabon, we were just the 2 of us, me and my husband, and then children came along as they were born, and we were traveling to different places. Children adapt more easily than we think. Sometimes we fear that, how will my children adapt? How will they find new friends? Here in Zambia it has been fantastic in terms of integration for the children. Sometimes the spouse work is a problem, because obviously when you are an ambassador, you have limitations to the possibility of the spouse to be able to work. So this has been a bit of a challenge, let's say, but there's so much work also to be done with the children, and that this is like also an agreement that we have. Now it's me who is working as an ambassador, so I have this very busy role, and I maybe am not so much available to drive kids around to different activities. So this is the turn of my husband in a way. In Brussels we were obviously more let's say equally sharing the burden, sometimes me even taking more, even if I had busy jobs, because I thought it was kind of traditional thinking in a way that the woman has to take more on her shoulders when it comes to life organization for your family. So I think if you present it as a family project to your children, and if you are happy about it, children just come along and they adapt more easily than we think.
I like the fact that you mentioned that there's certain times that you had to play a bigger role at home, because traditionally you felt that was right, and I think that's the case for many women even here in Zambia. What advice do you have for women about balancing and ensuring that they still attain a work-life balance and still succeed in life?
I think it is, but I think you are right that there is this expectation, social expectation, that women are the ones who should be carrying more, responsibility at home for the meals, the organization, the children, etc. And it is a challenge when it comes to work-life balance. You have to handle all that, and if you have an important role in a company or in diplomacy, it's difficult to manage both. But I think what I would say to my fellow women is to also, have a frank conversation with your partner and with your children. And ask openly for support. If you want to pursue a career, it shouldn't be automatically the woman who needs to ensure all these household responsibilities. Also, children at some point, they can clean their room on their own. This is let's say as simple a conversation it is, but I have this conversation also with my children, and then to feel them part of the household responsibility as well, and maybe to encourage them with plan. Then on a certain day is that child who takes care of the dishes or something like that, just to make it a bit of a more modern division of labor, if I may say so, in at home as well. Because even as I said, in Europe, there is still, I don't think there's a real equality in terms of household responsibilities. Many women naturally take those responsibilities because they like it, but also because they feel that this is what is expected from them. So in Europe as well, we have still a long way to go to make sure that men also participate. We have some initiatives like the not only maternity leave, but in some countries we have the paternal leave. So there are some. In some countries, there are some maybe progressive policies when it comes to employment, to support women and to make it a little bit easier for women, and to put also men in to have a greater share of responsibilities.
How would you describe yourself as an ambassador, your leadership traits, and how you ensure that your team remains motivated and inspired?
I think what I was telling you about my role in Senegal, it taught me a lot, and I think this is what I try to apply as well. To really be, first of all, lead by example. You can't demand something from people if you don't do that. So you can't demand them, you have to be, diligent, etc., if you are not. So I think that's the first principle, to really lead by example, and to know your team. So what I'm doing with my team is to try to, when I arrived here, is to sit down with each individual, bilaterally, to understand not only their files, what the files that they are working on, but also to know them a bit better as a person, to see what are their aspirations, the plans that they have for their career, how long they have been with the EU, but also what they would suggest, what kind of changes, what kind of improvements we could do in the office, in the working environment. So I really try to value each individual and the contribution that they have to the team. In a team, everybody has a different role, and this is important to understand that, and to try to get everybody buy-in into the bigger picture, to make them understand what the objectives of the EU in Zambia are. So we have these, meetings with all staff to make sure that they understand the institution that they work for, what are the objectives, what are the big meetings that are coming up, what are our priorities, and which are the, let's say, milestones. So it's very important for me also to connect everybody to this bigger picture. If I may, use a metaphor, that someone who's not only painting a wall, but we are building a house together, and that they understand and see the house that we are trying to build and to achieve. So I think, yes, this and also there's a lot of power in informality. So I try to know each of the individuals, wish them happy birthday when it's their birthday, to really, so that the team feels like one, and that there is we have colleagues who are expatriates who come just for a few years, other colleagues who are local staff and who live here in Zambia permanently. Also, these I'm trying to reduce as much as possible any kind of differences between local colleagues and expat colleagues. We have, for example, flexible working hours and the possibility of teleworking 1 day per week, which applies to all staff. So these things to really value each and every individual and the value that they contribute to the team, because it makes the team stronger, it makes people happier in a work environment, and it makes the whole team more successful. So this is a bit the values that I try to inspire in colleagues. Obviously, we work a lot and we work hard. So and we spend a lot of time, obviously, in the office. So it's so much nicer and better if the work environment and the work atmosphere is good, and that colleagues value and respect one another. So these are a bit my leadership values.
What sort of a mom are you and a wife?
Difficult question. Well, I'm a mom. Obviously I love my children, my husband. I don't know how I would describe myself as a mom, but I try to be involved as much as possible.
Are you the strict mom?
Not so much, no.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think especially now when I have a bit less availability for them during the week, especially. So on the weekend I try to be very much available and do things with them, but also encourage them to be bold and to live their dreams and to be hardworking at school, to show also by example that you can have a good job, a good career if you work hard, if you are true to your aspirations, if you are nice and kind to people as well, that people will mirror back the nice person that you are. They will mirror back if you are kind and respectful with people. So I think this is some of the values that I'm trying to instill in my children. Yes, and my husband probably would like to see me more at home and at earlier hours, but this is what it is.
What do you do in your free time? Especially that you have a busy job. I try to carve out time for myself, because there's this saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're empty and if you don't have energy, etc., you can't give to others, and you can't also do your work with excitement, etc. So I try to do sports, so carve out the times to go to the gym, to go for a run, to kind of change to switch off a little bit from work and from the daily routine. I like traveling, that also when I go somewhere I switch off and I'm no longer an ambassador that has to think about 1, 2, 3, but you are yourself in a way, and so traveling, that I love this. And when I travel I always also have a busy schedule to try to fit in many things to discover. Reading as well, being with my children, my dog. I have a dog, so I walk with my dog as well. So these simple kind of pleasures of life make me relax and switch off. What book do you recommend?
I like
that every woman should read.
Oh yes, okay, I have one. Yes, actually I like reading these kind of self-development books, or motivational or inspirational books, and I have come across lately through a podcast actually that I listened to. and then the podcast spoke of a book and that I read, which is called How Women Rise, and the author is, I think she's called Sally Hegelsen. And this book I even organized recently for the International Women's Day an internal workshop for female colleagues at the EU delegation to reflect on some of the lessons learned from that book. And this book, yes, it's an inspiring one about, you know, women empowerment, but also what behaviors sometimes women have that hold them back, you know, not speaking up for themselves, thinking that someone else will notice their achievements without you know, us speaking about them, or the what they call this author calls the disease to please, that all women want to please everyone, and so that everyone is happy. Maybe sometimes it's not necessary, you know, you have to sometimes reach your objectives without everybody being happy about it, and everybody doesn't need to like you, you know, but that sometimes it's typically female behaviors that if someone doesn't like us, we think that we are not good or something like that. So a quite inspiring book that I found lately is this one.
What podcast are you listening to?
Podcasts, so that was one that I came across, When Women Win. That was on a plane that I discovered this, but were quite inspiring, about you know, featuring successful women and in different from different walks of life, from business, from NGOs, from science, from, you know, diplomacy, etc. So this one was quite inspiring, but also I like listening to podcasts about, you know, particular political situation in one region or in one country. So these kind of geopolitical podcasts I like as well. That also helped me to keep abreast of you know, the news and the developments maybe outside Africa that I don't follow on a daily basis.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
I think one coach told me, feel the fear but still go for it.
Feel the fear but still go for it.
Yeah, like, okay, sometimes you're so afraid before doing something, so you feel that fear, but you're still gonna go for it.
So it's normal to...
Exactly. And I think it applies well, not only for professional life, but also for, I don't know, some also personal experience. Sometimes when you feel, oh, can I do it? Or can I run that 5 kilometers or not? Okay, feel the fear, or it's challenging, but you still can do it. And it's so rewarding once you succeed.
If you're not an ambassador, if you're not a translator, what do you think you'd be doing?
Maybe working for an NGO, women empowerment, something like that, or you know, recording podcasts on maybe women, successful women. I'm really inspired by female stories and how our leadership brings also so much more diversity to the table, to the discussions, to the negotiations, etc. So I think I would do something still around, you know, female and empowerment or support to vulnerable women as well.
How do you handle criticism and negative feedback?
Disease to please. I was mentioning, I suffer a bit from that.
I love the confession.
Yes. No, obviously everybody, well, I like to, you know, that people like me and appreciate me, but okay, it's of course not possible that everybody likes you and appreciates what you do and how you do things. So setbacks or criticism or negative feedback, I think, yes, I think it's good to appreciate the feedback, because feedback is a gift. So you receive it and you acknowledge the feedback, the negative or the criticism, and you try to analyze and then learn from it. I think each setback or negative feedback is an opportunity to learn as well, to be more resilient, to do differently in a new situation, or to put yourself a bit in question. Okay, maybe the way I have handled a situation is not seen by all as a positive or a good way to handle it. Maybe I should invite more people or consult more people before I take a decision. So I think this is how you grow and how you build your resilience as well, because if everything was easy, life would not be so interesting. So I think it's important to receive feedback, but also to give feedback, constructive feedback always. I also give feedback on a regular basis in a constructive way. I think it's important in a professional setting to receive feedback and to be able not to feel defeated after feedback, but on the contrary, to grow and to learn from it.
For a woman that's watching today and is inspired by women like you in leadership roles, how do you define success?
Success, I think for me, it's being true to yourself, being authentic, while pursuing your dream little by little, achieving satisfaction from work, from personal life, finding time for yourself as well, so not to lose yourself. I think this is important, to have a career and to have a goal in life, to serve others as well. I think this is part of leadership, very important aspect. It's other people first, it's your team first, and you come second. There's a saying, leaders eat last. There's even a book, I think, which is called like this. To feel authentic and to feel yourself, to be true to your values while advancing to your professional goals. I would maybe define it like that. Maybe not a very precise definition.
What would you say to a woman that wants to be like you one day about navigating through life and succeeding at it, at whatever level that they're at?
I think an important message for me to give to others would be, you don't have to become a man to be a leader. And you can be still yourself, you can be authentic, you can have your low moments, and you don't have to change your personality if you want to progress in your career, in business, in diplomacy, in NGO, at work, at any kind of work. You don't have to turn into a bossy kind of person. You can be yourself. There are different styles of leadership. You can apply yours and see how it resonates with your team. Don't be your own enemy. Like we were discussing this, self-diminishing behaviors or thoughts or things that you belittle yourself a bit in your head. So this, I think, and this really relies on us. So this is something that we can change as women, to believe in ourselves and do not overestimate others, that they will think about us. So also to carve that time for yourself and try to be your own advocate in a way.
Ambassador, thank you so much for your time and for sharing with us your story.
Thank you so much, Musonda. It was a great pleasure to be here.
Okay. So there you have it. I've just been speaking to Ambassador Karolina Stasiak, and she is the first female ambassador for the EU to Zambia as well as COMESA after 50 years. And so that's a huge milestone, and it was great getting to know more about her and her sharing her story. I do hope that you found this particular edition of High Achievers interesting, and I hope that you will join me next week. Goodbye.